Hi, seventh graders. This is Mr. Chamberlain, and I'm going to talk to you today about animal classification, which we started in class yesterday. So if you look up at the screen, I've got a picture of what looks like some sort of big cat, and any living thing in the whole world can be classified by a bunch of different words that get it more and more specific about what it is. So as you can see, there's actually 7 different categories for all living things. The first one says kingdom, so that would be sort of the most general, broad description of all living things. So the critter, the little cat that I see down there, fits into the animal kingdom, which is why it gets the name Animalia. So you've got Animalia here. So its kingdom is Animalia. If I want to go a little more specific, because I'm an animal too, right? And chinchillas are animals, so it's not enough to just say that it's an animal. We need to get more specific. So this animal fits into the phylum of Chordata. And Chordata means that it has a spine. So it has a backbone. And a lot of animals don't have backbones. Earthworms don't have backbones. Insects don't have backbones. Squid, bunch of critters, but humans do, and chinchillas do, and this big cat here appears to as well. So all of us so far still fit into the family of Chordata, which is why we need to get into a more specific group. So its class is Mammalia, which, as I'm sure you could guess, means mammal. So it gives birth to live young. It's warm-blooded, and it has hair on its body. So when I think about that big cat, I can tell by the way it looks that it has hair on its body. It gives live birth, and it has milk that it feeds its babies. So, but that's the same true for humans and chinchillas as well. So we can get even a little bit more specific. Its order is Carnivora, which if you look at the root of it, it's kind of a Latin moment. It's carnivorous, so it eats meat. Chinchillas don't eat meat, so already we've gotten a little more specific from them. But humans do eat meat, too. Humans eat meat and plant matter. We're omnivores, but this is just strictly a carnivore. So we've already got it a way to separate it from a person, say, and a chinchilla. So let's get even more specific. The family that it fits in is Felidae, which represents feline, so any kind of cat. That could be your house cat, or a bobcat, or a lion, or a tiger. And in this case, that thing right there is a feline too. But we can go more specific. The genus is Panthera, so I know it's probably a type of panther. There's more than one kind of panther, though, which is why we still have the very, very most specific way to describe it. Its species. This is called Pardus. And when we want to give a name scientifically for what the creature is, we just use the genus and species name to give it the full name. So you can see it took Panthera and brought it down. So this is called Panthera pardus, or a jaguar. We can apply that to more things, but I'll do that in a minute. All right, so we made a little more sense of one animal. But what I want to do now is talk about 2 animals that's very near and dear to me. 2 pets that I've had over the years. And you've heard me talk about them too. Chester's the chinchilla that I have, but alien hoppers I don't think I've ever told you about. Alien hoppers is a praying mantis that I kept a couple years ago as a class pet. They make excellent pets, believe it or not. But when you look at the 2 pictures of them, you can already tell that they're different animals in the first place. The first thing I asked was if there's anything we see in common. Several students said things like they both have eyes. They both have little feelers on them. So Chester has whiskers, and Alien Hoppers has antennae. Both are kind of sensing, feeling parts. Another thing is they both have limbs. They both have mouths. So there's some things that we can say that they have in common, but a lot of the easier things to notice are the differences. So I can tell that one has fur and one doesn't. One has 6 limbs, the other has 4. Alien Hoppers has spikes all over its arms, and Chester doesn't. And generally, one of them is cuter than the other. But if we want to be specific, we can actually, like I said, use taxonomy to figure it out. So if we look at kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, we can really start to separate them. But the first category, which is kingdom, there's a lot of options. Things that are living can be in the plant kingdom. They can be in the animal kingdom. They can be in the fungus kingdom, the bacteria kingdom, but luckily for us, they're both animals. Even insects are animals. So right now, they're the same critter until we get more specific. But that's where it stops, because a praying mantis fits into the phylum of Arthropoda, which means it's an arthropod. So it has it wears its armor on the outside. We wear our armor, our bones, on the inside. So if we break a bone, it happens on the inside. For praying mantises, if they break their self, that's because they're getting snapped in half or something. They wear all the hard part on the outside. Its class is Insecta, which makes sense because it's an insect. So it has 3 separate body parts. The legs are joined, and there's usually 6 of them. It's in the order of Mantidae, which means it's a mantis. And there's actually 2,200 different kinds of mantids. But we can go even more specific than that. If you look, we have 3 more ways that we can still classify it specifically. The family that it fits into is Mantidae, or Mantidae, which means it's a praying mantis, so the way it holds its arms when it stands makes it look like it's praying. It's in the genus Tenodera, which means that it has a insect kind of spine. I know it said it wasn't a chordata, so it doesn't have a spine, but in insects, it has a special kind of spine that sticks out behind its head. And really specifically, like I said, its species name is sinensis. So sinensis means Chinese, so if I'm actually naming it, if you remember, I use the genus and the species. So if I want to call a Chinese praying mantis by its official name, I'd call it Tenodera sinensis. That makes sense so far? Let's try that for Chester now. So like I said, he's an animal, just like Alien Hoppers was, but he's a chordata, so he has a backbone, just like humans do. So far, the two of us, humans and chinchillas, are basically exactly alike. If I go on to the class, it says he's a mammal, which I already told you too, is just like humans. We described that earlier, being warm-blooded, giving live birth, those kind of things. So we're the same still. But this is where it separates, the families. Humans fit into the ape families, but Chester fits into the Rodentia family, which means he's a rodent, so he has long teeth that constantly need to be worn down by chewing on things. Other good examples of this would be a beaver, or rats or mice, hamsters, guinea pigs, capybaras, which are the largest kind. If I look at its genus, it's in Chinchillidae, which makes sense because that's the group of critters that are either chinchillas or visachas, which kind of look like chinchillas. And its actual species is Lanigera. So if I'm going to name it officially, it's a Chinchillidae Lanigera, which means long-tailed chinchilla. That's its species name. We talked in class about what we call the human specific name. We call us Homo sapien, or wise one. So that's our two-word name for human beings. And you can do that for any living thing. For a different type of plant, or a certain kind of cat, or a certain kind of mouse would all have its own 2-word name. One last thing I'm going to show you is some students had asked what a visacha looks like, and luckily I have a picture of visacha. Like I said, it's really close to a chinchilla, and it looks like this. So it has some features that make it look like a chinchilla, but it also kind of has that weird rabbity look. They also live in South America. So I hope this makes sense to you. This is just a refresher, and I'll give you another update pretty soon. Thanks.